All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me on this excursion that we're going to have. We're going to be covering the 4 pillars of what makes up a successful man's throne over the next year. Our first quarter, we are going to be starting with the physical pillar. We're going to make sure that we have a lot of questions coming from you guys, and we're going to be answering those questions throughout this entire process. So I am looking forward to doing this journey with you guys. It's an embarkation on this journey. All right, so where are we at today, and what is it that we're going to be talking about? Today, we are going to be talking about cortisol. What is it? Why it's not the enemy, and how cortisol can control, how you can control it, so it does not control you. Today, you're going to leave with how cortisol works, what it is doing in your body, and the results that you are reaping from that, and a simple mitigation protocol that you can start tonight. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how stressed have you been over the last 7 days? And answer honestly, guys. There's no judgment in this room, for sure. Drop it in the chat. Okay, so we've got a 7, an 8, a 10, another 10, 100%. I completely understand that. Here's the thing. Today's society has been created to antagonize us, to put us on edge, to incorporate and make us into stress, hungry individuals. By either the first thing you do when you wake up, you're eating breakfast that has sugar in it. It spikes your insulin level, creates stress. You have too much coffee, too much caffeine. Somebody beeps at the robot or the traffic light. Everything has been designed to increase the amount of cortisol that you have in your body. Why is that? Because cortisol is the fight or flight response. When your adrenaline gets triggered, your brain releases cortisol, and then what happens? It goes into fight or flight, the survival hormone side of things. So, what this enables you to do, it gives you the capability to mobilize your energy and perform when you are under threat. From that perspective, it also follows, hey, Jonathan, you've joined. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, brother, sorry, just a little bit late.
No problem, my brother, no problem at all. Just going over what cortisol is currently and how it affects your body. So I covered a bit of talking about people and where their levels are currently. And now we're moving into the key points of it from there. All right, so it is, like I said previously, it is the survival hormone. It mobilizes your energy so that you can perform under threat. But it also follows a daily rhythm. So in the morning, you'll have a higher cortisol level, which helps you to wake up, it helps you to stay focused. At night, when you fall asleep, it's a lot lower. The problem isn't cortisol though. It's chronically elevated cortisol, or a broken rhythm from that perspective. See, if you think about it from this vantage point, cortisol is like a gas pedal. It's useful when you need it, but destructive if it stays down all day. That's exactly how the body handles it. So how does it develop, and why does it stay high? There are 3 buckets that I would break this into, and this is so it makes it a little bit easier to remember. Number 1 is your physiological stress. Number 2 is your lifestyle stress, and number 3 is your physical stress. In number 1, physical stress, we got to think about things like work pressure, conflicts, uncertainty. Everything that is happening in today's age is constantly uncertain, and then decision making. It makes you feel like you're always on edge. You can never switch off. And the nervous system, from that perspective, is also feeling the same way. From there, we move into number 2, our lifestyle stress. Things that contribute to this are things like poor sleep or an inconsistent sleep schedule. Too much caffeine. I speak for myself. I used to do about 5 to 6 cups of coffee a day, 2 or 3 pre-workouts, over 1,000 milligrams of caffeine every single day. And I can tell you that yes, it may have felt like I was on an upper, but saying that, once I started to mitigate or remove that from my diet or just reduce it, I started to feel a lot better. Also, things like not eating enough. That is one of the things that I find that a lot of people struggle with, is that either they eat too much or they eat too little. There has to be this harmony between what your body needs and how you can manipulate that to ensure that you're not crash dieting, you're not under eating. And the last one that filters into the lifestyle stress are things like alcohol, especially when it is used as a sleep aid. It fragments your sleep. It doesn't allow you to get into that deep REM state sleep. And then the last stress out of those three stresses is your physical stress. Training hard with poor recovery methods. I am guilty of this. I can tell you guys straight up. I would go balls to wall all of the time without having recovery. If you're not rolling out, if you're not doing ice baths, saunas, all those types of things, if you're not incorporating that into your workout regime, this is going to cause your cortisol level to increase. High intensity workouts every day. That's not enough. Zone 2, like walking. These things also put your body under enormous amounts of stress, which is why our program is so beneficial to a lot of people, because it doesn't put you into that high stress level all of the time. And then the last thing, which I will mention in the physical stress, is chronic inflammation, which is pain, illness, and essentially having a bad diet. That creates those issues from that perspective. We have to think about it from this perspective. Your body doesn't separate stress types. Work stress, training stress, diet stress, all hit the same stress bucket. So how does it affect the body? Pete, you know how it affects the body, right?
Of course that is.
Hell yeah. Stress. So from my understanding, the composition, your body composition, number one, that's most important to me, is increased hunger cravings, especially for things like salty and sugar. More belly fat gets stored around the bottom. I can tell you that when I was highly stressed, when I was working that engineering job, the stripping job, and also doing a lot of other activities, I had more belly fat than I've had in years. And that's because of the cortisol level that my body was at. Also, from that perspective, it also makes it a lot harder for you to stay on a caloric deficit without feeling wrecked. How does it affect the muscle and performance? One, you have reduced recovery. You're always inflammation. You're always having high inflammation. You're going to be sore. You're not going to be able to do the same things that you would have maybe the week before, even though you've had sufficient sleep and recovery if your cortisol level is going to be high. Training output is going to be a lot lower, as well as you're going to be prone to injuries. This is a major factor because one, if you're stressed, two, you're utilizing your gym as your way to remove the stress, but then your cortisol level is super high, you get injured, what's going to happen? You're going to pick up all the weight, you're going to maintain the fact that you can't get your cortisol level down now because you can't gym anymore, and at the end of the day, it's going to create a vicious cycle that will cause you to go downwards and spiral downwards. Other effects, things like sleep. You feel wired at night or tired in the morning. That's the flip of the cortisol, what it's supposed to be doing. Because you're supposed to be waking up with high cortisol level or slightly high cortisol level, so it keeps you alert and down regulating throughout the night. 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the mornings, how many of us have had that wake up call? We're like, oh, what's going on? I'm awake, I can't go back to sleep. My mind's racing. This is what cortisol's doing to you. So, it's not an enemy, but like the analogy says, a gas pedal is good if you want to go, but it's really bad if it gets stuck in go all day long. That's the same with cortisol. When you need to go, when you're in that fight or flight, utilize it, but you don't want to be at that level the entire time. Also, another thing that it does affect, especially in men, the chronic stress, suppresses our testosterone, meaning lower libido, meaning it affects our sleep, meaning our inflammation is higher and energy is lower, but at the end of it, also our muscle is not going to be able to develop. So it's just a self-fulfilling prophecy. Stress, not being able to work out, injuries, boom, fat, boom. It just goes on and on and on and on. So if we think about it from that side, high cortisol doesn't just make you stressed. It makes you behave in a way that destroys your results. So what is the mitigation? How do we regulate that nervous system? How do we downregulate our cortisol level? Number one that I suggest is parasympathetic nervous system breathing, or the Iceman, Wim Hof. If you guys have heard of him, he has a system. It's 10 minutes a day. Every single day I wake up and I do this. It consists of breathing for 30 breaths, deep breaths. You get into your belly, into your chest, in, out for 30 times, and then you do a breath hold for a minute. Do the same thing, a minute and a half, same thing, and then another minute and a half. If you do this regularly, you can get up to 2, 3, 4 minutes of actual breath holds just from this system alone, because it teaches your body that it's safe to be in those circumstances. Other things that you can use is psychological sighing. Take a deep breath in, long exhale, and why does that work? It stimulates your vagus nerve. That vagus nerve is responsible for this parasympathetic effect in your body, down-regulates and allows you to get in touch with what's actually happening. Because stress is just all in our mind. What does marinating over the situation do to us? It doesn't solve the problem. It just creates more anxiety, which hinders us from going forward. So box breathing, you know, the 4, 4, 4, 4. So in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4. That also works. Another thing that you make use of regularly is 10 minutes of walking after meals. Usually, my blood sugar is exceptionally low because I don't really eat carbohydrates. But if you do eat carbohydrates, this is the perfect thing for you to do because it's going to reduce your cortisol level. It's also going to reduce your blood sugar level, which helps you to control if you have sugar or are pre-diabetic. And then the last thing that I would suggest that you do is get into the sunlight. We don't get into the sunlight enough as the Western culture today. When I was a kid, I was outside barefoot all the time, and those were the happiest times of my life. If we get back to doing those things, Jonathan, I know that you do that all the time with your kids. They're cycling and you're running after them, or the other way around actually, because you're so fast right now. So definitely helps. And if you think about it from this perspective, you don't need more motivation. Everybody always says, I need motivation to start. I need it to get going, right? Motivation is an acronym for motive for action. So you don't need more motivation. You just need to regulate your nervous system so that your motive for action can actually take place and put things into perspective. I'm not saying that you need to choose all of those, but I'm saying pick 1 or 2 of those things. The sighing, the box breathing, the 10 minutes of walking after meals, or sunlight for the first couple of hours in the day, just 5 to 10 minutes. Things that should become non-negotiable for helping you cope with this is sleeping at the same time every single day, right? Waking up at the same time every single day. Why? It sets your circadian rhythm, which allows for you to ensure that your hormones are regulated. For men, it's very easy. Our hormones get regulated, it stays like that. For women, a little different, right? Don't let them hear me say that, but 100%. It's a little bit different for them. If we are at that stage and we get locked in, it's going to stay that way. And will only progress even better. Cut off caffeine 8 hours before bed. That means by 1 or 2 p.m. in the day, you want to make sure that you have no more caffeine. Switch over to something, if you're looking for more energy, something that like your niacin, you could do beta-alanine. Those types of things will help you without the stimulants of caffeine, because caffeine doesn't actually give you more energy. All it does is blocks those endocrintic receptors, which means that you don't feel tired, but you actually are. 60-minute wind down. This is the most difficult thing for most people to accomplish, right? Just before you go into bed, don't doom scroll, turn the lights down a little bit lower, no work. The last thing you want to have done before you go into bed is have your mind racing with the next problems. If you want to work on a problem throughout the night, you want your subconscious to do that, write it out. Keep a pen and paper right beside your bedside. Be like, these are the problems that I need to work on, and allow your subconscious mind to work on that for you. And the last thing is, keep your room cool, right? Mine is set at 69 degrees at night, allows for a nice cool temperature, and we get to be able to sleep into a very, very deep sleep throughout the entire night. If your sleep is broken, your cortisol is driving the car. That is one of the things that I'm going to leave you guys with today. So, how do you have a 7-day cortisol reset? Number one, wake up in the morning and within the first couple of minutes, get some sunlight. This is not going to work for Mike Johnson because he's up at 3 o'clock in the morning. So he's going to have to change something around, but he'll get there. 10 minutes of walking daily. This could be after dinner, before breakfast, after breakfast, whatever it is. If you want to do it after each one of those things, I go for a walk, especially when I'm at home. I go for a walk at lunchtime. This gives me perspective. It also gets me the chance to cut away from technology and not be bothered with everything else, and gets you back in touch with God. Because if you think about it, everything that we are surrounded with on a daily basis, like our offices and everything, has been man-made. How much time do we actually get to spend with God outside, right? That's what walking does for me. I'm pretty sure it does it for you too, Jonathan. Caffeine cut off by 2 p.m. 60-minute wind down. And then the last thing is 3 minutes of breath work once a day. Wim Hof would be better, but yeah, that is it. So, who is committing to a 7-day detox?
Let's do it.
Hells yeah. I got you, buddy. So, morning light, walk in the day. I'll send this to the group. I'll also send the snapshot of this and get it done. But it's nothing on top of what you're doing already. You're basically doing all this anyway, Jonathan, so you're good. Except your sleep is crazy because, yeah, you're an animal.
Yeah, I'm kind of the opposite. I can get my morning walking in for sure.
Definitely.
So I'll get my work in morning. But when I'll be, your 1 or 2 p.m. will be my 1 or 2 a.m.
Okay. Lost coffee. Yeah, buddy. All right. Good stuff. So, Jonathan, from your perspective, are there any questions? Are there any extra things that you can add to this for guys? Because obviously this is going to be going to the guys to be able to see. Some of them weren't able to obviously attend. And I'd like to have, some feedback.
My thing that I have started doing, I've talked to
Rick Leiberger?
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go. About doing some breath work.
Yes.
It's about clearing the mind to make
Yes.
sure that your mind is fully cleared. And that's one thing that I have struggled with, especially with the job career that I have.
Mhm.
I feel like I am 100% when it comes to stress. I feel like I'm calm, cool, and collected with the stress in my field.
Yeah.
However, when it comes to the quiet time, that's when my mind is racing.
Okay.
So, I've talked to him a few times. I need to give him a call again and set up some more dates because I missed the last class that he had. But yeah, I'm excited to reach in and actually learn to calm your mind.
Rick is one of the most skilled breathwork experts out there. He has helped me in so many different ways that I can't even put into words. There's one process that he does which involves an hour of breath work, the most I've ever done. It literally feels like your hands are cramping up and they're doing this because your body is so filled with oxygen. But after that, he puts you to this place where you're just at the precipice and you release all this energy with a massive scream. So just tell your wife to be ready for when you scream. Afterwards, you feel like $1 million. definitely worthwhile. But on top of that, if you want, let me know and I can work out some NLP audio for you, that when you have that downtime and you feel like your mind's racing, we can structure it. There's a technique that I use called the movie cinema technique, where you'll go into a movie theater in your mind, you'll sit in a chair, and you'll see the events of what you want in front of you. And you're the director of this movie. So now you get to change the scenes and run it through your mind as many times as you want to get it formulated the way that you want. And then you look at it from a different perspective. And all this does is it allows your nervous system and your mind to practice things more. Because the mind and the body can't differentiate between what is real and what is not. So we can use that to our advantage. For example, if you ever wanted to be a millionaire and you want to know what that feels like, once you know what that feels like, when they say, go drive that Lamborghini, go drive that Maserati, whatever the car you want, why would they say that? Because they want your nervous system to be able to feel what that feels like. Once you understand what that feels like, you can put yourself in there in your mind over and over again. And this creates the neurological patterns that are actually going to draw the parallel back to you, because you will think about things from a different perspective now. A mind once expanded by idea can never revert back to its previous dimensions. And that is me, brother. So if you don't have any other questions or answers or anything that you want from that perspective, let me know. But next week, we are going to be covering fasting. Intermittent fasting, it's good. Too much fasting can be bad because it changes your metabolism.
Okay, yeah. No, I'm good. I have no other questions.
Awesome, brother. Well, thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Cool.